What's up, guys? We are back with another Cosmic Allegiance OxKrewe review, taking a look at probably one of the more mysterious figures in this wave, and also one that absolutely drew a ton of attention during the reveal, and of course since then. We're taking a look at Kurnn Ray, so another female figure in this wave. She doesn't necessarily look like it. This figure at first glance kind of looks like an Imperial probe droid or a Sentinel from the Matrix with a trench coat on. That said, I am very, very curious about this one for, I don't know, a number of reasons. The trench coat, the head, the fact that it's a female figure, like a 1.0 female figure also again. So a lot of cool stuff going on here that I'm just personally very interested in. She, of course, comes in standard cosmic packaging. So you have the figure in the window, you've got a render down there, we've got a portrait and a bio on one spine, we've got a write-up for the Thraxxon story on the other, and then the back of the box gives us our cosmic cross-sell with 1,000,001 pictures of the figures that we have gotten to date. So yeah, let's do it. Let's pull her out and take a look. And here we go, out of the package, our Cosmic Allegiance Kurnn Ray, one of two female figures in this wave, and also one of two, right? One of two 1.0 female figures in general? Unless I'm forgetting somebody that's been released. You can count those on one hand, I think. So this is still kind of very much uncharted territory for Legions, cosmic or mythic. Not to mention the fact this figure is very different when it comes to soft goods. This is almost getting us into like Mezco kind of territory where the figure is fully clothed from head to toe. Obviously this is a jacket, but we don't really have much else like this to compare with in this line, or, well, Legions in general. It's not a cape, it's not a tabard. This is something the figure is literally wearing. And surprisingly, it doesn't really hinder articulation. Like, I can't say that, 100%. Obviously, it does get in the way a little bit. But this thing moves a lot better than I would expect for a line that typically doesn't feature figures that have coats on them. So let's see what she can do, see how she moves around. Obviously, there's something crazy going on at the head up here. She's got this big, like, probe droid, Matrix Sentinel kind of head sculpt up here. And it does still have pretty good range. Like, it goes up and down, it tilts, you've got rotation. I've got the whole shebang on her right now. I've got these wild-looking pauldrons. I've got the cosmic backpack on her. And still, like, the arms go out all the way to the side. Nothing getting in the way there. Of course, the jacket's going to get tight as you go up on the arms, but you can still get a full extension. The pauldrons are going to have to move as usual. We've got our single-jointed, kind of 90-ish degree arms. We've got, single-jointed swiveling elbows. You've got lateral hinge and rotation on these hands. There are others. The torso is probably going to be the area where she's definitely locked down, and this isn't the jacket at play. This is just this body. So she's got some swivel side to side. You do have a little bit of shimmy side to side. And then, of course, you've got backwards and forward crunch. It's a 1.0 style figure, despite it being a female. It's a 1.0 figure, and it has some range, but it's not the greatest example. Legs go out about yay far. Again, even with all this stuff, like, she's really not encumbered by anything. You kick them forward, kick them backwards slightly. There's a butt plate back there. You've got a thigh twist. We've got our single jointed knees. These don't have as much range as some of the newer knees, but they still move fairly well. You've got knee swivel, and then you've got rocker, and you've got hinges. Rocker's pretty good on this particular set of feet. Hinges are great, and then you have the same standard ankle rotation at the top of that joint. So she moves really well. I mean, even with the jacket on, even with all this stuff on, she still moves really well. I don't think she moves any worse than any other cosmic figure, and that's not a negative across the board. It's just she pretty much moves like everything else, despite all of this. So that is to say, when the jacket isn't on her, she does move slightly better, but this is pretty much it. This is what you're going to expect through and through with this figure, and honestly, I'm pretty surprised. I really thought for a line that doesn't typically feature this type of soft goods, we might see some issues, and I don't really think we are. Now, as far as the overall look and feel, Kurnn Ray is, well, different, right? She is very unique pretty much in every way when it comes to what we're looking at now. She's got two very distinct looks when it comes to this figure. I guess you could say there's more than that, but two very distinct in my opinion. We've got this look in the box, and then of course you've got the uncoated and the alternate head sculpt to give her kind of, on her day off kind of look. But this look is definitely my favorite just because of how different it is and how weird and how I mean, alien is the word I want to say, but of course that's what this line is. The soft goods are, of course, a major focal point for this particular figure. She has, a full trench coat or a duster or whatever kind of jacket this is. It's got pockets on it. It's got a wired belt that literally does cinch it together. Like, this is functional. You will want to use it to keep her jacket closed. If you want to keep it open, then of course you undo the belt. It loops through some loops on the side here. The belt again is wired. There's different fabric on the sleeves just to break that patterning up. You've got the cut in the back to help, move it around. It's got some gunk and grime down at the bottom. It's wired, of course, so you can have it billowing backwards. There is different fabric on the inside, so it looks different within and out. It's just great. I am really happy with this. It is a very different idea from pretty much anything we've seen soft goods wise on either side of Legions. Mostly it's a tabard here, it's a skirt piece there, or it's a cape. This is so different and so out of left field from what we would normally expect, but it works really well because of this being cosmic. This makes perfect sense. She's, out of the wasteland, some sort of junker type of person or whatever you want to think. And she's got, this mysterious look about her with all these cobbled together parts, like the pauldrons, which of course are very unique to her, very different. They don't look more like armor and anything else. They just look like part of her gear. Maybe it's stuff that's keeping her together, or it's, providing life support or something, sort of like what the helmet, I'm sure, is for. But she has a very asymmetric, very unique look, and I'm just a big fan of how different she is while still somehow managing to fit in with the rest of this line and this wave just fine. She both looks different but doesn't feel out of place, if that makes any sense. And of course we do have this absolutely ridiculous, in a good way, head sculpt. It obviously has, some sort of leanings towards the probe droid from Star Wars or like the Sentinel from the Matrix. And I think that's just great because it is so different. It's so weird. It doesn't look like a head. It's obviously some sort of helmet, but you could treat her like a droid of some kind in terms of what you want to do with this. There is so much sculpt here. Tons of different paint applications, an asymmetrical design. This whole thing on its own, you could just look at it and kind of figure out what she's doing. There's an array of sensors and doodads all over it. It's obviously got some sort of, breathing apparatus that leads to a filter, so that kind of gives you the idea that maybe this climate isn't the most favorable to her. There's a lot going on with this particular figure and her look and her outfit that really lends itself to the story in many ways and kind of gives you an idea of who she is, which, just from a storytelling perspective, by looking at the figure, I'm really happy with it in that regard. But the fact that the jacket just works, doesn't get in the way, looks good, and offers this very unique visual experience for this figure, I'm just all for it. I'd like to see more. Of course, we have to take a quick look at her without the jacket on because there is stuff under there. And with her being a 1.0 female, it's definitely worth calling out. She is, of course, similar in some ways to Vorga when it comes to just the idea and the construction, but she's not a repaint or anything. She's not like a one-to-one comparison. It's just that they're very similar in terms of how they're put together. So you've got, a 1.0 torso, we've got 1.0 arms and legs and everything, so you can use this on any figure, really. She does feature some new paint schemes for these arms here. They are kind of like a smoky tiger stripe, which is interesting. Of course, it's alien stuff, so it can be whatever the hell they want it to be, but that's neat, that's different. And all of her stuff, especially in conjunction with the jacket, just looks so cobbled together. Like she just kind of walked out of the wasteland and she's got what she's got however she happened to have gotten it, if that makes any sense. She feels very just sort of cobbled together. A lot of stuff that sort of looks like it goes together, but also stuff that sort of doesn't look like it goes together. She still features skirt pieces, so we've still got even more soft goods here. We've got fabric legs, and then we've got the booted feet. We've got some wraps on the wrists here. You've got your standard sort of cosmic and mythic leather gloves. We've got a 1.0 torso with, a decent bit of sculpt on it. There's all sorts of line work in here. There's like straps and buckles and clasps and everything, and then she's got this collar piece. The neck, of course, is going to match these arms, and then we've still got the pauldrons up here, which are incredibly asymmetrical, and I love the color scheme. They look very utilitarian rather than just to be a piece of armor. And then we've got, again, our head sculpt. I don't know that this head, for me, really works on the body without the jacket on it. I definitely prefer the head and the jacket together, but it definitely still works. Like, it somehow works because of that collar piece and the shoulder armor kind of bringing her into this more robotic and droid-esque kind of look. But this figure is just incredibly versatile, I think is what you're going to find, especially in just the visual department. There is a lot of stuff going on here when it comes to the head, the pauldrons, the varying sort of earthy toned color scheme pieces we have, not to mention the very functional jacket piece that is so new and so different. There's a lot of options with her in terms of how you want to put her together, how you want to show her on your shelf, or if you want to, use her for parts. There's a lot of options here for a lot of other figures in your collection. Now, as far as accessories goes, despite having, an insane amount of soft goods, Kurnn Ray still has a lot of accessories. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on here, and it really plays up the idea of two very distinct versions for her. Obviously, there's more options than that, but two very distinct main versions. So, of course, we've got an alternate head sculpt here, and I feel like, this works with the jacket and without the jacket. It obviously goes really well without. I feel like the other head doesn't go as well without the jacket, but that's just my own personal opinion. I really like this one. It's obviously still very humanoid, but very alien at the same time. She's got this sort of broad and low nose. You've got very deep black eyes. This smoky tiger stripe patterning on the skin is still present on her head. And then, of course, she has, bright blue hair that kind of runs in almost what looks like dreadlocks in many way off the top of her head all the way back. And she's got a fully sculpted head of hair with some, dreads or whatever you want to call them, kind of coming down around onto her neck and onto her collar. I really like that, especially this color scheme. That blue really pops against the very muted gray and black. She does, of course, still feature the pauldrons, which we've already talked about, but I really do love these. They are so weird and kind of steampunky and very just, again, cobbled together and utilitarian compared to a lot of the other stuff we've seen. We do have the backpack, which is very much in the same vein. It's the same backpack we've seen before, but the color scheme here and the kind of dinginess really works to tie it together to the pauldrons. And then we've also got this little doodad here, which is sort of like an antenna piece that pegs into one of the holes on the backpack. It can go on either side if you want. This is the same backpack that like Vorga has, so it's got the port on the bottom here for like the ammo strap if you want to use one of those bigger guns with it. She does feature some extra hands, so we've got sort of graspy hands on her in the box. She has got 2 sets of gripping hands. You get a set of lateral gripping hands, and then you get a set of vertical gripping hands, and they're all the sort of leather glove style of hands. She has this like bandolier of ammo. You can get it to wrap around her chest, like it can sit over top of her like it's supposed to. I find this kind of odd because she doesn't actually come with a gun. Not that we're short on guns in this line, but she doesn't have one, so I don't know why she would need bullets. That said, it's a nice little piece to have, whether you want to use a gun on or not, because it's going to break her up. It's like a strap for Cosmic, basically, except it's bullets instead of just, a holster for or a sheath for a sword or something on the Mythic side. So this will help to break up the chest if you want to use her without the jacket. Or if you want to give her a gun, of course, that kind of completes that look a little bit. We get some Cosmic binoculars. So these are literally exactly what it sounds like. They're just binoculars. They do have a movable piece. So the actual strap is on a bar that is pegged into the bottom, and it moves. So it just sort of sits in there, and it allows you to sort of move that strap around however you want. It looks, again, very utilitarian. There's kind of no muss, no fuss to it, but it does look on the Cosmic side of things for sure. And then the last accessory we get is her sort of like techno scythe or something. I'm not sure what else to call this. It definitely is, very much in the same vein as her armor and her, again, kind of junker type of appearance to me. So there's all these wraps all over the handle. You've got a pitted and marked blade. It's got some sort of power source to it as well. So I don't know what it's capable of, but you wouldn't want to be on the receiving end of it, I'm sure. It's relatively small, which I find interesting, but not in like a bad way. It's kind of different way. Like this is normally something that would have a much longer handle to it, but hers is on the shorter side, which I do find kind of interesting and just, I don't know, fun. It's nice to have something similar, but also different at the same time. So she does have, again, quite a bit of stuff. It's maybe not as much as some of the other figures in this wave, but when you take into context all the soft goods she has, I feel like there's a lot of value in particular with this figure. I mean, you get all the stuff to kit her out in this look. You get this gnarly head still as well. I mean, I still can't believe the fact that we get 2 heads of this quality on the same figure. This one in particular being 100% unique right now, I mean, is just insane. And then, of course, you get the unhelmeted head to complete 2 very, very different looks for this figure. So yeah, overall, Kurnn Ray is pretty solid. This is definitely one I was very interested in just because there's a lot of potential here. There's a lot of potential in the sense that you have essentially two different kinds of figures, depending on how you kit her out. You've got her with the big helmet on, with the jacket on, or you have her without all that stuff, and she doesn't even look like the same figure. Not to mention the soft goods being really well done. They are implemented nicely here in a line that doesn't feature stuff like this, to this degree. I think they did a really solid job of making a functional trench coat that doesn't really get in the way of anything. She comes with a great array of parts. She comes with a really cool set of accessories. And in general, this is just a really fun looking figure, no matter how you set her up. I'm really, really happy with the finished product on this one. I think this is going to be one of the hits of the wave for a number of reasons. So that's going to do it for this look at the Cosmic Legion's OxKrewe Kurnn Ray. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And until next time.